André Rieu transformed classical music into a global spectacle. His waltzes filled stadiums. His orchestra dazzled millions. And his empire grew into one of the richest in the music world. From fairy tale castles to a lifestyle steeped in opulence, Rieu seemed untouchable. But what happens when the dream you built begins to unravel the very foundation of your life? Behind the glamour and grace was a hidden struggle, one that would leave his loved ones in tears. How did the man who brought joy to millions end up facing heartbreak at home? André Rieu's legacy is not just measured in gold or applause, but in the cost of the empire that nearly consumed him. Born into a musical family in Maastricht, the Netherlands, André's path was practically written in sheet music. His father was a conductor for the Limburg Symphony Orchestra, and music filled every corner of their modest home. But even as a boy, André knew he wanted more than to simply sit still in a tuxedo conducting a polite orchestra. He dreamed of energy, of spectacle, of a musical experience that made audiences sing, dance, and cheer. And that's exactly what he would create. In 1987, André took a leap that many called reckless. He founded the Johann Strauss Orchestra, not a typical classical ensemble, but a show-stopping performance machine. Starting with just 12 musicians, he envisioned something far grander. Within a few years, his orchestra ballooned to over 60 players from around the world. They performed everything from Strauss to the Macarena, and people couldn't get enough. Theaters turned into arenas, and before long, stadiums sold out across continents. By the early 2000s, André Rieu was outselling music giants like AC/DC and Bruce Springsteen. His concerts grossed millions per night. DVDs flew off shelves, and audiences treated his performances more like rock festivals than classical recitals. But unlike many stars who banked their wealth quietly, André invested his success right back into the spectacle. In 2008, he nearly lost it all. André Rieu spent $30 million on a massive stage replica of Vienna's Schönbrunn Palace, complete with fountains, carriages, and ice rinks. It was stunning but nearly ruined him financially. What was meant to crown his career almost erased it. Yet through relentless touring, he bounced back, rebuilding his fortune to $40 million by 2023. He wasn't alone. His wife Marjorie, his partner since 1975, helped design costumes, plan venues, and shape every show. Their son Pierre later joined as vice president, turning it into a true family-run empire. Their base of operations, a 1452 castle in Maastricht that André dreamed of owning since childhood. Once decaying, he transformed it into a dazzling home filled with art, chandeliers, and fairy tale gardens. Despite the wealth and glamour, André remained surprisingly grounded. During the COVID-19 lockdown, when concerts were cancelled and millions in revenue disappeared, he didn't retreat to luxury. Instead, he started baking cakes and sharing them with neighbors, showing that beneath the empire was a man who cherished community and simple joys. Still, the empire rested on a fragile foundation, André himself. In 2010, he suffered a severe ear infection, and everything came to a standstill. With tours on pause, his family finally saw just how dependent their fortune was on his health. One illness, one cancelled tour, and the entire operation could collapse. It was a wake-up call, but also a sign of just how dedicated André had been, risking everything, even his well-being, to keep the music alive. What few people knew was that concerts weren't the only part of André's financial success. Quietly, he had been investing millions into luxury real estate across Europe. His castle in Maastricht was just the beginning. He had acquired a vast portfolio of historical and high-end properties, expanding his fortune far beyond music. Even his instruments were part of his legend. André owned not one, but multiple rare Stradivarius violins, including a piece from 1692 he purchased for £7 million in 2018. One of his earlier violins, dating back to 1667, was notoriously difficult to play, but André turned its harsh tone into gold, using it on some of his best-selling albums. André's attention to detail extended to every part of his performances. He personally designed the gowns worn by his female orchestra members, inspired by royalty like Empress Elizabeth of Austria. Each dress cost upwards of £3,000. Multiply that by dozens of musicians and dozens of tours, and the numbers quickly became staggering. But this was André's philosophy: no shortcuts. Everything had to be authentic, extravagant, unforgettable. Even his marketing brilliance knew no bounds. In 1995, during a Champions League final between Ajax and Bayern Munich, André purchased a single minute of TV airtime during halftime. Just as Ajax scored a goal, millions of viewers saw André perform Shostakovich's second waltz on live television. The next week, he sold over 200,000 CDs, launching his global fame almost overnight. One soccer goal, 1 minute of TV, and an entire career change. Despite the scale of his operations, André never forgot where he came from. His childhood had been far from glamorous. Growing up in a small home with 5 siblings, a distant father, and a stern mother, he believed his parents resented his natural talent. At age 5, he picked up the violin, and within weeks was playing beautifully. Music became both his escape and his mission. He once nearly gave up music entirely and joked about opening a pizza restaurant instead. Thankfully, he stuck with it. In those early years, he formed his first ensemble, playing weddings and small restaurants for pennies. Audiences often ignored them. Yet his passion never faded. When he rebranded in 1987, forming the Johann Strauss Orchestra as we know it, he took inspiration from Strauss himself, a musician who had once run 5 orchestras simultaneously. André would create the largest privately owned orchestra in the world. Today, his orchestra tours nonstop across Europe, the Americas, Asia, and Australia, bringing joy to millions with performances that blur the line between concert and celebration. Balloons, fake snow, and real champagne are just part of the experience. Even if André doesn't drink, he insisted the audience get the full royal treatment. Offstage, André remains a man of quirks and warmth. He reads Tintin comics, taught himself Spanish by reading crime novels, and still cherishes a toy truck he and his brother built from scrap wood when they were kids. That toy sits proudly in his castle, a reminder that even the most extravagant dreams can begin in the humblest places. And just when you think André Rieu couldn't dream any bigger, he floated the idea of performing on the moon. Yes, the moon. He even spoke with billionaire Richard Branson about building a hotel on the lunar surface. It sounds like science fiction, but with André Rieu, nothing ever truly seems impossible. From the shadows of a cramped childhood home to the spotlight of the world's grandest stages, André Rieu has redefined what it means to be a classical musician. He's not just a violinist. He's a dreamer, a builder, a showman, and above all, a believer in the power of music to unite, to dazzle, and to endure. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more amazing videos. Thanks for watching.